Hey, Ecamm fam, welcome to sunny Edinburgh, and a little bit of a longer intro to the whole concept of ready mixed profiles, what they mean, what this one looks like, and why you might want to download it. So, the idea is that everybody's time is valuable, and not everybody has the ability or the desire to create a whole bunch of scenes. And your time probably is better spent creating quality content than just messing about with scenes, although I find it great fun. So what I have done is I put together a 21 scene run of shows. So it's everything that I would normally use in the run of show for a live stream. I'm going to be doing other profiles as well for things like presentations and interviews, but these today, or this particular one, is all about a basic live stream and getting up and running instantaneously with Ecamm. So you're not going to have to mess up setting up any screens or cameras or anything like that. It's all going to be super easy. And so I'm going to show you through a few of the different scenes, and then I'll go into live demo mode so that you can have a look at what the profile actually looks like. But for those of you who haven't used profiles before, it's super easy. So you can go to the store, go through the shopping cart process, and you'll get a link to download an Ecamm profile. That will come in as a single file. You just open up Ecamm and double click on the profile. It is literally as simple as that, and the profile will load up into Ecamm. Couple of quick things to note. First thing I would do is duplicate that profile. So go up into the profiles menu, make a duplicate and give it a new name. That way you can mess about with it till your heart's content, and it doesn't mean there's no disasters if you manage to get things a bit messed up. So you've got a separate copy of it. Also, you might want to keep your profile in somewhere that's not going to get sucked up to the iCloud. So if you put it on your desktop or in your downloads area, it probably will end up in the iCloud at some point. So what you might want to do is put it onto an external drive. Certainly that's what I tend to do. External SSD drive, keep all my profiles there, and Ecamm will know where that is then. So in fact, that's probably the first step. Store it somewhere safe externally, then open it up from that location. So once you've done that, you're going to get a whole bunch of scenes appear straight away, and they're going to look something like what we've got here. A countdown timer will be the first thing that you can see, and that will run for 3 minutes by default. There's a little note that says if you want to change your logo, it tells you how to change your logo. So you might want to change your logo. You don't want my logo on the front of your countdown timer. You might want to change the colors in that countdown timer as well. Up to you entirely, but very easy to do. I'm not here to teach you how to use Ecamm, just to let you know what's actually in the package itself. So your countdown timer is the first thing you see. Then there's a snazzy little transition, which we just saw me coming on to. So that's got a fixed timer in it. There is a copy of it at the bottom of the whole scene, and I will tell you how to use that at the very end because it's the last thing that I'm going to talk about. But there's a couple of different main camera overlays. I tend to like quite a tight crop, so something like this I quite like as my background. It also shows a little bit of the background slide as well, so I can have something like this, and I can actually just go change the backgrounds on this. So if I come down in my show in backgrounds area, there are 12 different backgrounds that I can choose between. So turn it off, have a look at the next one, have a look at another one. So these are just some nice clean gradients. Then I've got some slightly more funky looking stream ones. Then some real bright and cheery art style ones. So there's something in here for everybody, and you can choose your own one to go with your show. And you can go back and you can of course change the colors and the backgrounds of all of the elements, like where it says show title or where it says Martin. You can go change the colors of those to match in with this backgrounds. Or you can even go and drop your own background in. So if you've got a graphically designed background, or you've got a nice picture you want to use, then you can drop that into the background, and you're still going to have all of these shape overlays over the top, and it's still going to look cool. So we're almost at the bottom of those, but there's a lot of them, as you can see. So nice reflections one. I quite like that one. I think that's the last one in the set, but we'll come back up to the top one and we'll keep it nice and simple with a gradient to start with. So that's a whole bunch of stuff that you can change in your backgrounds, but you've also got the ability to choose between a couple of main camera views. So I've got this one here. I've got a slightly different one, which is version 2, and you'll have just seen that fade nicely, but it's a bit of a, I suppose, a slightly different look and feel at the bottom there, and you could add some additional text in there if you wanted to, about details of what your show's about or where you're streaming from or something like that. But it's, again, nice and neat. And then I've got a slightly fancier one where I've changed the crop to quite a lot wider on this, and I've slid that in, so that will always slide in from the right hand side, but you can go change the colors and the text and things on that as well. So it is only a question of just going to the text, clicking on it, changing the text, changing the color, whatever you want to do. So something for different people with different sort of camera angles and focuses, and whether you're doing a wide Anaran Fulgens or a tighter crop like I tend to do, there is something in there for everybody. So different ones of those, and also a few different ones for working with guests. So here's a very simple one of me and a single guest, or me and 2 guests. So just side by side, and you could put your logo up the top here or something like that, or some additional title text or whatever you want to do. And of course, if you really want to, you can go size and shape some of these overlays as well. But I've kind of got them looking quite neat and tidy as they are. And we've also got a few sort of things that I would tend to use on most streams. So I tend to have, if I've got a couple of guests on, I would tend to do a bit of a spotlight. So it might well be me highlighted with my guests sitting to one side, and then when they wanted to talk, I would probably then shrink me over here somewhere and have the guest large in the center of the screen. So, you know, those are the sort of things that I would tend to do when I'm running a show. And then I might, for instance, do a screen share. So in this particular case, I've got a nice MacBook type background going on, and you're just going to have to go and click on that background and then choose what you want to share in the same way as you would do for any screen share. It's just got a nice little background around it. And there's other ones that are in there for sharing with guests as well, or if you want your guests to share their screen, very similar type of formats. Then there's one with an iPad, and purely the reason for that is the iPad's going to give you different dimensions from the wider screen version, so it may or may not look good in one of those 2 different screen versions, but they're different aspect ratios, so play about with those, find out which one works the best. Perhaps you're bringing in an iPhone, so there's another one for iPhones as well, and all of these surround images are the Apple standard images, so there is nothing copyright about them. You can go get those from Apple, but I've just thought I'll use those and bring them in because they look quite smart. And then I've got things like a comment overlay window, so when you're going through and you're bringing in your comments, for those of you who haven't used it before, that's a comment placeholder. And as it says in the text there, when you bring in your comments, they're going to follow that particular format. So if you want to change the color of the viewer name and the text below it, then you can do that. And then each time a comment comes in, you'll drop it on the screen and it will go to this location with that size of text and with those colors. So you can go change those if you want. Then I did something which was add in a little business card, and it's sitting on a slant. Whether or not you like that, you can play with it. But the idea was to put your own contact details in there, and you can drop in your own QR code. So if your QR code, I think that's sort of like a 300 by 300 square. If you right click on that square, you can use the replace asset function and it will directly drop your QR code into that location. The rest is just text, so you can just go in and change your text and change some colors and some backgrounds if you've got a particular format that you wish to follow. But that's something that I seem to, most people don't bother doing, but I like to definitely do that at the end of a show is let people know all of my contact details. Those are not real contact details, by the way, but if they were, or I think the buy me a coffee might work, but the rest don't work. So and then a sort of a next show type thing. And again, if you've got a square picture that you want to drop in, you can right click on that asset and change the picture, or you can right click on where it says stream profiles and change the picture, or just delete it and bring in your own logo in the location that you want to. But the whole idea really is that you're able to go from one end of the show literally right through to the other end, where we've got a little slide out, see you next time type of show. And in fact, I think there's also a be right back, which is a very similar thing with a little timer on it. And then I've also got a whole load of lower thirds in there as well. So these are all grouped together, and you can grab them and move them about, no problem. Also, what you can do is you can grab the folder for the design you like and then drag and drop that onto the scene and then place your object on the screen. So I'll probably show you how to do that in a few minutes. So for the moment, what I think I'll do, because I've gone through most of the different slides there, or the different slides, I keep calling them slides, the different scenes. So let me go into the beginning where I'm on my main camera again, and I'm just going to go into live demo mode. Options, live demo mode, turning on live demo mode. So now you can see live demo mode, and you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. So let me scroll in so that you can see all of the scenes which are in here. So we've just seen the countdown timer disappear off the top of the screen and me, but then there's the one guest, two guests, spotlights for two different guests, screen shares, etc, etc. So these are all the scenes that are preset for you, and all you really need to do is go in and change your text and the titles. So let me just come back out again for a second, because one element that you will want to do is come on to your camera here and just select camera A for this camera in the center, because camera A is the one that's used for the host throughout the whole scene or throughout the whole profile. So go in, for those of you who have not done this before, go in, set everything up as you like it for camera A in this scene. Then come over to your camera window where it says camera A is selected. So at the top here, camera A is selected. Roll down to the bottom and hit this apply to all scenes button, and then your settings will apply all throughout the different scenes, and the camera will appear the same style in all of the different scenes. So that's what you want to do, unless you're doing something weird and wonderful between the different scenes. Other things to note, I guess, if you've got two guests and if you've got one guest, then the camera in the center is guest one, the camera to the right is guest two. So just assign guest one and guest two when they come in on interview mode to those cameras, and they will drop straight in. Now you will have to go and change the text on each one of these scenes, because there is no way to globally change the text across multiple screens, but you still saving yourself tons and tons of time. So you may want to cut and paste your name between multiple scenes. So where I've got Martin McKenna, I might just want to make a copy of that and then cut and paste that into the next scene down. So if I did it here, I could go down to my spotlight host scene, and in fact, of course, I've chosen one that doesn't have my name on, but if I did have my name on it, I could just cut and paste my name and delete the existing text that was in there. So you can either do that or just type in your name on each box if you wish to do that. So the choice is really yours on that one. So other bits to show you. I don't think there's anything too complicated about most of the others. So the guest screen share would be the only one that's worth a mention here. And if you haven't used interview mode before, your guests will come on and then you can allocate them as guest one and guest two in my case. You can then get your guest to do a screen share, and what will happen is that will pop up in the camera sharing window, and you can allocate that to guest number 3. So when you do that, guest number 3 is effectively the screen share of your guest. So here in the middle of the screen, I have allocated that to guest number 3. So automatically, when you assign guest number 3 to the guest screen share, it's going to appear in that iMac in the center of the screen. Similar sort of thing for iPads, etc. So I think I put this to USB, number 3. It says USB video there. Anyway, you may need to set that to wherever your iPad is, and the same for your iPhone. You may not want to set this one to wherever your iPhone is, but I don't think there's much else to talk you through on these ones here. I should talk about the lower thirds though, and how to manage and use those, because that's a bit different. So the lower thirds themselves, I'm going to zoom in on the lower thirds section here, just so as you can see they're all in individual folders. So there are 6 different lower thirds. They're all designed to fly in from the right, not from any other direction. Don't try and fly them in from any other direction. If you want to have them not fly in, then you're going to have to go to each one of them and go here and turn off that transition on each of the elements. So you'll need to do that if you don't want them to fly in. However, how do you work with that particular lower third? It's actually really easy. You just click on the folder, and I'm just going to do Command C, or I could click and drag that folder onto a different scene. But if I just do Command C, and then I'll close this one down, let's go to one of the ones up here. Let's just say this next time one, and I'm going to stream out a little bit here so as you can see a bit better. But if I now come into this scene here and just do my Command V, then my lower third has appeared here. I'm just going to take the folder and drag it to the top so I can see it's all in one folder. There is my lower third. Wait for the little hand to appear. Wait for the little hand to appear, and you can move that to wherever you want to. So I'm just going to hide mine over the top of that at the moment, just for effect, and just position it wherever I want it. And I could even go in and change that bottom corner there, because that's going to look better if that's got a rounded corner on it. So I can play about with that anyway till my heart's content, and just line it up wherever I want, and that's going to appear or disappear. And in this particular case, because I've got my host text all in one box, I could just, I guess, hide some of these so that that's not going to show, and then bring in or hide and show using the little eye at the top here. And there we go. That's how easy it is to go and drag those into different areas, and each one of these particular elements you could go in and change as well. So if I want to change that particular rectangle, then obviously I can go in and I can say, right, I don't want that to be color, I want that to be a gradient. And there, it's changed it to a gradient. So you can just go and color match those to wherever you want to, and drag and drop them wherever you want to. You can also do fancy things like start to extend them and play about, or make duplicate copies. So if I had 2 people on this scene and I wanted to make another copy of that, then I could go back up to my lower third one, and I could do Command C, Command V, although I've already got it on the clipboard, haven't I? So if I just do Command V again, it's going to give me another one, and I can go grab it and I can put it wherever my guest is going to be on the screen there. So working with those lower thirds is actually super easy to do, and so you don't need to worry about it too much. I'm going to ditch mine before I mess things up. So I'm going to take them, and again, it's because they're all in one folder, it's nice and easy, and I'm just going to bring back the elements that I previously hid, so that I've got me appearing as I was before. So that's how easy it is to work with that. There was a couple of other things in the extras I was going to very briefly mention, and one of them is a copy of the transition. So we had a little fancy transition at the beginning and one at the end of show. Let's just play the end of show one, and you can see the little wipe. So nice little wipe and some text at the end of the show there. So if you wanted to make a copy of that, then what it is a countdown timer. Come onto the transition itself, pause the countdown timer, change the text to whatever text you want to, move that transition, drag it up to where you want it to be in your order of show, then come in to this box here, edit your countdown to go to next scene, edit your text color to be invisible. So press the text color, make that invisible, drop the opacity down to 0, and that way it will transition automatically between scenes. Whatever you do, don't do that before you've taken the scene and dragged it and dropped it to where you want it to be in your run of show. Don't change those beforehand, because otherwise you're going to find that's really, really difficult to go and play about with. So just be a little bit careful with that particular one. So back to the main camera. I think I did show you how to change the backgrounds, or maybe I didn't. But to change the backgrounds, I don't think I did. So let's go back to changing backgrounds and how you might want to do that. So down the bottom here, you've got 12 different backgrounds, and I can just hide it and show it. That one's showing at the bottom there. So if I hide it completely, show that one, hide it, show it, you'll get the hang of this very quickly. So that's how you change the backgrounds. And if you wanted to put your own background or photograph or something in, just drag it and drop it and make it 1920 by 1080, because that's the standard size of things, and drop it into show in background at the bottom of the scene here. So that's really super simple, and hopefully that gets you to one end of the show to the other very quickly. And you can obviously make a copy of these scenes and then just duplicate them if you want duplicate versions of the scenes with different things on, or you can move the scenes around or grab some of them and move them to the bottom of the run of show. So you know, you can do whatever you want, because if you've made that copy initially, that's recommended, then obviously what you're able to then do is mess about with it and make multiple versions. So let's come out of live demo mode again. Don't like live demo mode very much. So that's me very quickly running through this. As I say, it's not designed to be me teaching you Ecamm. People like Adrian and Alec, and they do a much better job of that. So go to them and have a look at how to use Ecamm. But this is how to get up and running very quickly. And what else? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff on the store. So once you get used to the idea of changing backgrounds, you might want a different one. I've created 120 different backgrounds on the store there, and there are a whole loads and loads of transitions as well. So the little wipe we had was a very clean transition, but there's all sorts of fancy ones on there that you may want to use between scenes, or for an intro or for an outro. The other things that are on there's some motion backgrounds, and as I say, there's going to be further profiles as well. So do sign up to the mailing list if you're on the site, and there's a couple of free Ecamm things that appear from time to time that you might want to go and have a look for. So search the site, have a look around, and there's a couple of free things on there that you can play about with. So that's where we are with all of that. The only other thing to mention is music. So I don't have the rights to give you music, so there are no music elements on this at all. You definitely would want to add some music here and there, or some sound effects, just to make it look a bit more or sound a bit more interesting rather than look a bit more interesting. All of the graphics are original, as created by me, and a lot me and AI, so you won't find those anywhere else. They're not from Envato Elements, nothing is licensed at all, so anything is here. You are free to use as much as you want. So that is it from me, I think. So I think that's about 25 minutes worth of explaining. I'm bound to have missed something out. If you have any problems downloading things from the site, occasionally it will throw out emails that it thinks may have been previously used for email marketing or something like that, or thinks you're on a blacklist somewhere. if you have any problems, and the way that will happen is you'll say that you want something, put it into your bag, and then you'll never get the link to download it. If that happens, try a different email address. That's number one. The second thing that you can try if that happens is to whitelist the Sellify store. So streamprofiles.sellify.store. Go whitelist that. And just in case anybody missed it, that is the name of the store where you can go and get all of this stuff, and that's what this video refers to. So it is streamprofiles.sellfy, SELLFY.store. That's where you're going to find everything. So yeah, cheerio, see you later, bye from Edinburgh, night night.